The friendly neighborhood Spider-Man is one among the most famous superheroes that has a huge fan base in the world. The fictional superhero was created by writer Stan Lee and artist Steve Ditko. Peter Parker, aka Spider-Man, is a high school student who gains spider-like abilities after being bitten by a radioactive spider, and because of the bite, he has abnormal qualities such as climbing walls, shooting webs from his wrists, and superhuman strength and agility. Being given such powers, he uses it to fight crime and protect the citizens of New York City. The comic shows how he's able to survive between saving the world and solving his own personal issues. Spider-Man has undergone several transformations since its inception in comic books in 1962, and the character's on-screen portrayal has evolved over the years as well. The character has been portrayed by various actors in films and television shows, but here we will focus on the evolution of the character from Tobey Maguire to Tom Holland. Tobey Maguire played Spider-Man in 3 films directed by Sam Raimi, released between 2002 and 2007. Spider-Man was a gigantic cinematic undertaking that took 17 long years to come into effect. The director of this film, James Cameron, came very close to making his own version of the movie in the 90s. He wrote a 57-page script stating his ideas and the mission to implement it. The legendary American comic book writer and producer, Stan Lee, gave his blessing to film it, but unfortunately, the bankruptcy of Carolco Pictures halted the plans. Maguire's portrayal of Spider-Man was more focused on the character's internal struggles and personal relationships, rather than just the superhero action. His acting was praised by many fans and critics worldwide, giving him the title to be one of the best actors to have played the character. Peter Parker was characterized as a more sensitive and thoughtful superhero, and he was noted for its humor and wit, which made him closer to the audience than any other Spider-Man. The next movie, Spider-Man 2, is widely regarded as one of the best superhero movies ever made and is often considered the highlight of Tobey Maguire's portrayal of Spider-Man. Tobey Maguire was set to be replaced by Jake Gyllenhaal due to Tobey's concerns over his back injury which happened during the shooting, but he eventually ended up coming back and performed most of the stunts himself. The scientist named Dr. Otto Octavius, portrayed by Alfred Molina, has a terrible accident that fuses 4 mechanical arms to his body and drives him insane. Octavius becomes the villainous Dr. Octopus and sets out to build a dangerous experimental device while Spider-Man tries to stop him. The movie features some of the most impressive action sequences ever seen in a superhero movie, including an unforgettable battle on top of a speeding train. Spider-Man 3, released in 2007, was the final installment of Raimi's Spider-Man trilogy starring Tobey Maguire as Peter Parker, and it grossed $890.9 million worldwide, making it the highest-grossing film of the trilogy. But the movie received mixed reviews from critics and fans all over the world. Peter Parker is shown to be struggling with the darkness inside him as he becomes consumed by the power of the black suit he acquired during an alien symbiote invasion. Meanwhile, his former friend Harry Osborn, now the new Goblin, seeks revenge against Peter for the death of his father. A new villain named Flint Marko, who becomes the Sandman, enters the scene and complicates things further. The movie was not very well received by the fans because of too many plot lines and villains. Then comes our next Spider-Man, Andrew Garfield. He took over the role of Spider-Man in 2012 for The Amazing Spider-Man and its 2014 sequel. Sony Pictures had started pre-production on Spider-Man 4, which was a direct sequel to the original film trilogy, before deciding to create this film as a reboot. Garfield's Spider-Man was portrayed as more confident and witty, with a greater focus on the character's relationships with other characters, especially Gwen Stacy. He brought a unique blend of humor, charm, and vulnerability to the character, but was criticized for being too serious and overly dramatic. In the first movie, Peter Parker discovers his powers and tries to unravel the mystery of his parents' disappearance. He had to make special web-generating machinery in order to produce the webs, whereas in the Spider-Man trilogy portrayed by Tobey Maguire, the webs came natural to him. Garfield's Peter Parker faces off against the villainous Lizard, who is played by Rhys Ifans. The film's darker tone and more grounded approach to the character were also noted as a refreshing change of pace from the previous Spider-Man movies directed by Sam Raimi. The second film, The Amazing Spider-Man 2, was released in 2014 and was portrayed by Andrew Garfield. Peter Parker continues to balance his dual identity as Spider-Man and his relationship with Gwen Stacy. This includes a new villain, Electro, played by Jamie Foxx, and the return of his old friend Harry Osborn, played by Dane DeHaan, who becomes the villainous Green Goblin. The film received mixed reviews from critics and audiences, with some praising Garfield's portrayal of Spider-Man and the chemistry between him and Gwen Stacy, while others criticized the overly bloated plot and the lack of depth in the villains. Due to the mixed reception and various behind-the-scenes issues, a reboot of the franchise was made with the Marvel Cinematic Universe's version of Spider-Man played by Tom Holland. Spider-Man's third iteration in the 21st century did not come in the form of his own movie, but came in the form of MCU's Captain America: Civil War, which was released the year 2016. Tom Holland made his debut as Spider-Man in this movie and has appeared in several MCU films. Holland became the youngest person to portray Spider-Man at the age of 19. He received his own movie in 2017, namely Spider-Man: Homecoming, and its storyline was completely different from that of the previous Spider-Man movies. Holland's portrayal of Spider-Man is more lighthearted and humorous, with a focus on the character's youth and inexperience. The movie also showed his best friend, Ned Leeds, portrayed by the actor Jacob Batalon, and a cooler version of Aunt May, portrayed by Marisa Tomei. In Avengers Infinity War, released in 2018, Spider-Man, portrayed by Tom Holland, played a very significant role. Spider-Man is recruited by Tony Stark, Iron Man, to join the fight against Thanos and his army. He participates in several key battles, including the defense of New York City and the final battle on the planet Titan. One of the most memorable moments for Spider-Man in Avengers Infinity War is his emotional death scene, where he turns to dust after Thanos snaps his fingers and activates the power of the Infinity Gauntlet. The scene has become iconic for its emotional impact, and the powerful performances of Tom Holland and Robert Downey Jr. Holland only had a screen time of 7.5 minutes in the movie because he exposed too many spoilers of the previous movie, and as a result, he wasn't allowed to see the script for this film. The movie ended up becoming the fourth movie to gross over $2 billion worldwide. Tom Holland also appeared in Avengers Endgame, but his role was relatively small but important to the overall story. Spider-Man was one of the many heroes who had been snapped out of existence, but the surviving Avengers were able to create a plan to undo the damage caused by Thanos. Peter Parker is instrumental in helping to get the Infinity Gauntlet away from Thanos and back into the hands of the Avengers. The movie became the highest-grossing movie of all time, collecting more than $2.8 billion in box office sales. Tom later starred in Spider-Man: Far From Home, which was released in 2019. Peter Parker and his classmates go on a school trip to Europe, but Peter is recruited by Nick Fury, played by Samuel L. Jackson, to help stop a new threat to the world. Along the way, Peter teams up with a new superhero named Mysterio, played by Jake Gyllenhaal, but he soon discovers that not everything is as it seems. The film was well received by critics and fans for its humor, action, and the chemistry between Tom Holland and Jake Gyllenhaal. Spider-Man: No Way Home also starred Tom Holland as Peter Parker and was released in 2021. Peter Parker's identity as Spider-Man was exposed by Mysterio in Far From Home, and hence he seeks the help of Doctor Strange to make the public forget about his secret. But Strange's spell goes horribly wrong, leading to unwanted guests entering their universe. The film showed a multiverse of universes, which involved the earlier versions of Spider-Mans portrayed by Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield, and also the antagonists of those films, namely the Green Goblin, Dr. Octopus, Sandman, and Electro. Overall, the evolution of Spider-Man from Tobey Maguire to Tom Holland has seen a shift from a more serious and dramatic portrayal to a lighter, more humorous take on the character. However, all three actors have brought their own unique interpretations to the role, and each has been well received by audiences in their own way. If you enjoyed watching this video, don't forget to hit that like button. Share this to those who you think would like it, and don't hesitate to click that subscribe button too.